David with Guide Recommended. Today I'm going to talk about fly fishing backing. What is fly fishing backing? And we're going to get into the close-ups of how to use it. But first, let's dig into why I may or may not be capable of talking about fly line backing or fly fishing backing. So I have lots of backing. In fact, heck, let's do this. So you probably see lots of fishing stuff. We got piles of stuff. But if we come over here, you can see I've got maybe 2,000 fly lines, and I've got backing. I've got backing. So yeah, I've sold a lot of fly fishing backing, and we're going to talk about those uses. So we're back at it here. We're going to talk about fly line backing. So I'm picking this stuff because this reel, it's easy to see what's happening here. So fly line backing is the first line you put on your reel. Let me see if I got one. Oh, here's one right here. So you can see it in here. There is some white in there. That's the fly line backing, and then the fly line goes onto it. So again, first line on there, what is it? What is fly line backing? It's actually kind of like an insurance policy. Fly lines are usually about 90 to 110 feet long. So if you hook into a good fish with some current, it's not uncommon for a fish to take out more than 90 feet. You know, you think about casting 30 feet to a fish, you got 30 feet out, you hook on, and that fish takes off in the current, and you're out of line. And you're looking down at that line, and you know, when that drag is just screaming off there, and you're like, holy cow, I'm gonna run out. So fly line backing is a little bit of an insurance policy for extra line on your reel. Another thing it's used for is older reels, and I don't have one sitting out here, but older reels had a much smaller arbor, and the fly line backing was often used to increase, you know, the capacity, one, like we talked about, but also increase that arbor size. So you think about the modern large arbor reels, right? Each revolution, you're pulling in quite a bit of line because you're pulling it into a larger arbor. Back in the day, these arbors were a lot smaller. So one revolution, you might have only pulled in 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches of line. But were these larger arbors, and that was the effect of backing, line backing, you could, you know, increase the arbor size, thereby increasing the rate that you're pulling in the line. So, you know, with the large arbor reels, wider reels that we have nowadays, it's not so much of a deal. So what kind of backings are out there? So there is, I think I only got 30s, but typical line backings go from about 12 pound, more common, 20 pound, and 30 pound. So 30 pound backing. So what do you use it for, right? How do you attach it? So to attach backing to a reel, they use something called an arbor knot. Pretty straightforward, right? What I like to do is I'll actually loop it around the reel spool, right? What I'll do, oh heck, kind of show you here. We'll do it on this, still work. Show you how to do this. Wrap it around once, wrap it around again, right? Overhead knot again the opposite way, forming like a square knot, and then on this guy, tie on another little overhand knot. So effectively, it becomes like this slip knot that you can draw down tight to that spool, right? The little overhand knot that you had just becomes insurance, so it doesn't come unraveled. It'll get caught on there, and then what you can do is trim that knot close if you're worried about that little tag in. So when you're trimming close, just like that, right? So that's effectively what it ends up looking like. I know this has already got some backing on it, but hopefully you can see that pretty good in there. You know, the 2 loops around, overhand knot, overhead knot, making a square knot, and then another little overhand knot here to kind of add as insurance so it doesn't pull through. All right, so there's that guy. What next? How to attach your fly line onto the backing. So I've got my TFO BVK. I did some reviews about that here too. Exceptional reel, folks. If you are looking for a reel, good price, good quality, all the stuff you look for a value in a reel. So I've got some backing on there already. I got a hunk of fly line here. So how do you attach the backing to the fly line? So I like using a nail knot. Nail knot is probably the easiest way. These tools, nail knot tools, are the cat's meow. So you lay your backing in, wrap it around about 4 or 5 times, even up to 6. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you can see I wrapped it on. Oh, let's back up again. Let's do a close-up there. So put it into the fork. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? I'm going to wet this a little. Makes it a little bit easier to get it through. Slide that guy through the end. This is probably the toughest part of the whole deal, especially when you're on camera, right? You know, there we go. Pull that through. Take your fly line into those loops, right? Into the loops. Notice I still got my thumb here, right? So grab onto my line, quick jerk, right? You can see that knot come out there, right? Nail knots are a nice smooth knot. So cool thing about a nail knot, smooth. When I say smooth, it'll run through your guides nice and easy. And the harder you pull on these guys, the tighter they go. Because you know, you wrap it around it and then you thread that line back underneath it. So it actually tightens back down. So trim it off close, right? Get my tag line here. Trim it off close, right? And that is putting the fly line onto your backing. If you get a chance, go to Guide Recommended. I want you to go to Guide Recommended Fly Fishing Backing. Go to Fly Fishing Backing. You're going to see my post where I wrote up a bunch of good stuff about fly fishing backing. Thanks. Or your backing onto your fly line. Then reel that in. Again, this is just a little short section for a demonstration. What else should you think about? Putting too much on. You don't want to put too much backing on. What ends up happening in, let's get the light over here a little bit closer. What ends up happening is that your line will become really close to the frame. The line becomes close to the frame, all right? And what can happen is you'll nick your fly line. Whether you're stripping out line, let me demonstrate here. Get the line here. It's always a little nervous on camera. Let's get some line. Okay, so there's my line. So you think about what's happening when you're fishing, right? It's on the reel, you pull out. A lot of times you tend to pull down, right? Pulling down rubs that line on that frame. That's bad. Or if you've got too much backing on there, pull it up and it will be touching that frame. You know, so think about, oh, you want to wrench it in. Another way to kind of mess things up. So that's something you want to watch for. Backing You don't want to put too much on. If you can have about 1/4 inch of room between the fly line and the frame, it's about right, So that's fly line backing. What else can we talk about? Like I said, typical 20-pound to 30-pound. The other thing you want to think about, not too much, lasts a long time. Oh, different materials. Backing comes in a dacron, like a woven dacron. That's what this is. And you can also get something called a poly gel spun. Super strong stuff, very fine diameter. I didn't have any close, or else I would show you. I actually do, it's in my bag, but I didn't want to dig it out. But the poly spun, gel spun, very fine diameter. A lot of times used for salt water, a lot of times used for where you have to have a lot of capacity on your reel. Those big fish, right? Saltwater fish, maybe carp, where you can have something take out 150, 250, 300 yards of line. So, but that's usually where poly gel spun's used at. So, what else have we got? Hey, go to Guide Recommended, and also subscribe to my channel. Trying to put out some quality stuff. Thanks.